The latest economic data has been somewhat mixed, particularly from the standpoint of the labor market, with contradicting indications that companies remain desperate to hire, but few jobs are being created. The July non-farm payroll report, for example, rose just 235,000 in July, the weakest monthly gain since January. The unemployment rate, meanwhile, declined from 5.4 to 5.2%, leaving still roughly 8.5 million Americans actively seeking employment. And more broadly, the total potential pool of available labor, those actively seeking and those discouraged but willing to work, totaling more than 14 million. Yet as job creation slumped last month, companies also reported a near record number of job vacancies, over 10 million according to the latest JOLT survey. So the question remains, what is causing this mismatch or this labor supply gap? Essentially, where have all the workers gone? There are several factors contributing to the imbalance between labor demand and labor supply. As expected in the aftermath of a global pandemic, even with a rise in vaccinations, some workers have lingering health concerns or ongoing health impacts resulting from the virus. There are also lingering childcare or elder care issues impacting families and in particular women. With most schools now fully reopened, this has or will soon alleviate a good amount of pressure, at least for those with school-aged children. But for those caring for elderly family members or small children not yet of school age, daycare and nursing home facilities in many cases continue to act at reduced capacity, with many reportedly facing staffing issues themselves. There have also been numerous reports which have indicated fiscal policy measures as a barrier to growing the pool of potential labor by creating an incentive to remain outside of the labor force. Now, going forward, this labor supply gap will potentially be somewhat improved or diminished, as again, schools have now reopened, enhanced unemployment benefits have now expired, and vaccination rates rise. But it will take time, particularly in the case of benefits. Now, typically with benefits or other sources of income slated to expire, workers begin to look for employment in anticipation of an end, in this case, to the enhanced program. In other words, a rational market participant attempts to smooth out the individual or household income flow by appropriately timing the transition from one income source to the next. This time around, however, accumulated savings may actually slow the transition time. This time around, because benefits were arguably overly generous, in many cases matching or even exceeding one's potential earnings in the private sector, plus a moratorium on rents or evictions, plus an additional check in some mailboxes thanks to the expansion of the child tax credit, many have accumulated enough wealth to last for at least some time, even now in the absence of the enhanced unemployment benefit program. Volatility aside, we see the savings rate, for example, has jumped from roughly 8% before the crisis, now closer to 10%, totaling $1.7 trillion in accumulated wealth. But again, this savings or wealth cushion won't last forever. And now going forward, there is growing concern regarding the sustainability of the economic expansion in the absence of continued and ongoing government stimulus. And indeed, with the federal enhanced unemployment benefits program officially ended, this could mean a significant loss in consumption if, for whatever reason, millions remain sidelined from the labor market, and we don't see a positive inflow of workers and a corresponding rise in income and earnings. From the Fed's perspective, ongoing pressure in the labor market simply reinforces the notion that while significant progress has been and continues to be made, the threshold of substantial further progress has not yet been met, meaning an adjustment to policy is not yet warranted. Of course, there is a growing hawkish tone among some policymakers who have indicated that a taper or a slowing of asset purchases, a potential first step to weaning back emergency measures, some have indicated that a taper may be appropriate sooner than later, potentially by the end of the year. For now, however, with the next FOMC meeting rapidly approaching, the tone of the FOMC policy update is likely to reflect the dovish majority, holding rates and the pace of asset purchases steady with no firm commitment to a taper just yet. However, going forward as improvement, or should improvement continue, we do maintain an expectation for a formal announcement of a rollback in asset purchases to come by the end of the year, making the actual taper process a 2022 event.